Are you curious where 2026 loan limits will end up next year? Well, we get our first look at it. Last week, Bill McBride from CalculatedRisk actually gave us our first look at what he thinks, where he thinks loan limits will be next year. And you know what? Not a lot of change, which is not a big deal. So first, and I highly recommend reading his article from his Calculated Risk newsletter. I will put a link in it below. I also did a post on this on LinkedIn giving more details, but he goes into a pretty good length explaining how the loan limits, how they're created, how they're calculated, and then he gave you his math on what he thinks they'll be next year. Now, speculation because it's based off of Q3 performance, and we obviously don't have Q3's performance yet, so we won't know. But what it's called is they're generated from FHFA's seasonally adjusted expanded data house price index, where they compare the results from Q3 of this year to Q3 of last year. That's basically it. You can check out his article for the exact math. He does a great job, and I know he's widely respected. But right now, as you guys know, the standard loan limit for FHFA is $806,500, with the high cost limits being $1.209750. And if you're looking at FHA, that's $524,225 on the standard, and then the same $1.2 million on the high cost. But the bottom line is, Bill predicts that most likely, or the best that he can tell, the loan limits will increase about 2.8%. And he's based on that year-to-date, year-over-year results through May. I actually think they'll probably be a little lower. I think it might be closer to 2%. I'm no economist. Bill definitely would know this far better than me, but it just seems like home prices are softening. Q3 year-over-year is going to come in softer than we think. Maybe plan on 2%. A 2% increase, just so you know, means that the standard loan limits will go up about $16,000, and the high cost loan limits will go up about $24,000 on FHFA, and then on FHA, loan limits will only go up about $10,000 on the standard. So it's going to be somewhere in there, somewhere between 2 and 3%, most likely closer to 2%. Now here's what that means, to us. That means that unlike the last few years, the last 5 or 6 years, lenders aren't going to preemptively roll out a higher loan limit early, because there's just not going to be a big enough loan limit increase for them to build in a little bit of buffer and to them to roll out a meaningfully bigger loan amount. And so don't look for lenders to jump the gun and offer you higher loan limits, in October, November, December, however early they want to jump out. Probably won't happen. The new loan limits will be announced at the end of November, and then they go into effect January 1st. And so it'll be business as usual on loan limits until the end of the year. And then the new limits, which will most likely be about 2% higher, 2 to 3% higher, will come into effect January 1st. That's a very reasonable look. Bill did a great job. I will put a link to his article below. Check it out. With that, hope you're off to a great start this week. I look forward to talking to you again soon.